What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today, I've got some stories for y'all that you're going to enjoy about people's neighbors that have just gone ballistic. First one's about a Karen just attacking a guy who was trying to be nice. Other than that, we got some crazy ones. So if you're hyped for the video, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam, you will move in next door to just an absolute crazy person, and you don't want that, so press the like button. Here is the comment of the day from the last video. Big thank you to everyone that leaves a comment down below, and without further ado, let's get into it. So, we all know the weather's been changing, at least hopefully you've noticed that. If not, it's probably time for you to go outside, bro. And with the seasons changing, leaves fall off the trees, and it makes a little bit of a mess in people's yards. And you gotta pick it up somehow, like if you live in certain places, there's rules about, there's only a certain amount of leaves you can have in your yard. And if you live in those places, that sucks, but regardless, sometimes you just need to have your leaves cleaned up. And if you don't have time to do it, you've gotta pay a company, but the neighborhood that this guy lives in, there's an older guy who, just does it for everybody, and he 100% doesn't have to. People tell him he doesn't have to, but he just thinks that it's nice for the neighborhood if he helps pick up leaves. And everyone is super grateful for it, because it obviously saves them time and money, and if someone's saving you time and money, you're not going to be angry at them for it. And he does use, a backpack blower just to make it faster, because he'll do, 2 or 3 houses at a time. And no one really cares about the noise because, once again, he's solving a problem that either they would have to do or they'd have to pay for. And if you were paying for it, then the guy would come out and use a blower because he's trying to go fast to go to his next job, and then there would just be multiple noisy backpacks going every day. And on top of it, the guy's just being nice, so no one cares, no one says anything about it. And before anyone's like, well, why doesn't he use a rake? Because it takes way longer, and the guy's older. He's not going to use a rake. And this blower is not loud enough to hurt your ears, It's not like there's a cannon going off repeatedly outside your door. It's just yard work. And so at 11 a.m., the person who sent this in to me starts hearing it, which seems like a reasonable time. Obviously, if he started doing this at 5 a.m., that might be a little bit annoying. I could get that. But if someone starts doing yard work at 11 a.m., I feel like that's past the time of the allowed complaining window. That's just a reasonable time to do something outside on the weekend. And he's doing yard work. It's not like he's just playing music as loud as humanly possible for no reason. And so whatever, he knows who it is and what they're doing, so he just kind of goes back to playing his video game, not really worried about it. But he starts hearing screaming, and it's like a woman screaming, "What is that? What is that?" And he looks out his window where the noise is, and he sees this Karen that he hasn't seen before, yelling at the old man with the blower backpack on. And she's pointing at the backpack, and her facial expression and the way she's pointing at the backpack makes it seem like she just found some strange alien device, She had just stumbled upon some ancient alien relic that had started outputting this strange odor, and she was just so confused by it. And he wants to go see what's up because they're in his yard, so it's kind of becoming his business. And on top of it, he doesn't know why this lady is yelling at the guy who's doing him a favor. Anyways, he gets outside and he opens the door, and the first thing that he really clearly hears is, "Stop that racket!" Racket? What is this, 1811? Are you trying to ask someone to stop playing with their phonograph? What are you asking them to do? "I do say, cease this racket immediately." He goes over there, though, and is like, "Hey, is everything okay? What's going on?" And the Karen turns to him and says, "No, he's making so much noise, and it's ridiculous. I don't even know what he's doing." And so he tries to explain that, well, he's getting our leaves. It's okay. He's supposed to be here. We know it makes noise. And she stomps her foot and goes, "It's so early." Keep in mind, it's almost noon, so I wouldn't really call that early. Maybe, some people have a different definition of if 9 a.m. is early or not, but noon is pretty universally not early. And on top of it, it's past the time where he can, legally do it. I think there is certain quiet hours, so even if you don't like it, it's okay for him to do it. And so he says that he's not going to stop, he's going to just keep cleaning up, and it's okay. He's fine. It's okay for him to be here. And she yells that she doesn't like the sound. And his response is to just be well, it's my lawn, so I don't really mind if you don't like the sound, because it's not happening in your yard, so it's not your problem. Well, you're just gonna let him be this loud? And the old man is like, no one's letting me do anything. I'm choosing to do this. This guy isn't my boss. It's not like he's paying me. Just leave me alone so I can finish what I'm doing. It's almost like she had forgotten that the old man had a say in it too, you know? Like he just had lost his freedom in her mind, just condemned to constantly be blowing leaves. This was just the only thing he ever did. And she turns to him when he starts speaking up and is like, take the blower off. And he says, no, I'm not going to take the blower off. I'm using it and it's mine. Like, you can't tell me what to do. And she reaches over and starts trying to pull the strap off. And so he steps back and is like, don't touch me, because no one wants to be touched by someone, especially if they're aggressively doing it. Like, it's pretty reasonable to say, hey, don't grab me and try to take my possessions off me. And her response to being told to back off is to be like, well, I said take it off right now. Okay, it doesn't matter if you said take it off right now. You're not his boss. Strangers don't have to listen to your orders. It's not necessarily something that you have to do. If a stranger walks up to you and is like, give me your car, you're well within your rights to look at them and go, no, I'm not going to give you my car. It's not like you're his boss or anything. So whatever, the homeowner at that point steps in and is like, I think you should leave. And she, at the point where she's getting kicked out now, goes back to the straps to rip the backpack off, except now she's doing it super aggressively. And so the old man, like, falls over and she's trying to take it off. And at this point, she's just attacking him. And he's yelling for help and the guy doesn't know what to do, so he just runs in and grabs his phone and is like, I'm calling the cops. And so he comes back out with his phone, on the phone with the police, and she gets mad at him and is like, why are you calling the cops? And he's just like, are you kidding me? You just attacked an old man for blowing leaves at 11:30. Like, what do you mean, why am I calling the cops? You're just attacking this dude. And she starts getting all mad at him, saying he didn't need to do that. They could have just resolved it. And she runs over to her house, gets in her car, and drives away. And he didn't even know where she had lived before. Like, this was their first interaction. So he was really confused when it wasn't like his next door neighbor or something, because you'd think if you're going to get that mad about the sound, you'd have to live really close. How are you going to get mad about a leaf blower like 5 houses down? Are you kidding me? Like, that's just a very unreasonable thing to think that you have any control over. The entire block has to remain silent because I don't want there to be noise right now. Regardless, he called the cops and he starts talking to the old man. And the old man's okay, but very shaken up. Like, he was just trying to blow some leaves. Next thing he knows, he's getting shoved to the ground and someone's trying to rip his leaf blower off of his back. And it takes a little bit for the cops to get there, but they get there and they take a statement. And he points to the house and he's like, that's where she was, but she drove away. And as soon as he says that, the officers are like, all right, well, we don't really have time to sit around here and wait all day for her to maybe come home, so we're gonna go. And he was a little bit confused by that because, like, this lady literally attacked an old man. I feel like that's a pretty good reason to wait, but whatever, they left. And so he decided to, like, let the neighborhood know about it just so they could be on the lookout. If he's ever out front blowing leaves in their yards, be on the lookout for someone that's gonna come try to attack him. And the entire neighborhood was incredibly pissed. Like, everybody would yell at her and be like, why did you attack that old man? Not like go to her house and yell at her, but, you know, if she was ever, like, trying to cause an issue for somebody, they'd be like, yeah, aren't you the person that started screaming at the old guy that takes care of our leaves? Because this old man, like I said, was a saint. He's retired and he just volunteers his time to, like, pick up everyone's leaves so they don't have to hire a landscaping company. Pretty solid dude, no reason to get mad at him. And what's crazy is the entire neighborhood's mad at her, they don't like her, and she just would not apologize for it. Like, it literally would have all gone away if she would have just said, you know what, I didn't realize the situation, I'm super sorry, I shouldn't have screamed at the man with the leaf blower. But every time someone would get mad at her, she would be like, well, it's the old man's fault. Yeah, it's the old man's fault that you decided to attack him and throw him to the ground because he had a leaf blower on. And when they would point that out to her, she'd be like, well, he just shouldn't have been too loud. I think everyone's gonna lose their temper if something gets too loud. I didn't know that was a fact. I didn't realize that if something gets loud, you're allowed to just start punching people in the face. It's like that scene from the Kingsman movie where, like, they have that thing in their ear that makes them go crazy in that one church. I don't really get how you can blame this on him, but basically ever since that, she's cut back a bunch on her interaction with anyone in the neighborhood, which is probably best for everybody. She doesn't have to hear about how she was wrong for attacking the old man, and they don't have to hear that it's the old man's fault for being attacked because he just shouldn't have been that loud. I don't know how you can get mad at someone for collecting leaves for you, but this lady managed to find a way. What's that saying from like Jurassic Park? Life finds a way. It's the same thing with Karens, you know? How could anyone get mad at this? Karens will find a way. Alright, on screen now is a gift card code. For those of you that don't know, I give one of these away in every single video I post here on the channel as a way to just say thank you to you guys for subscribing and turning on those notifications. So if you haven't already, you definitely should. I post videos like this regularly and I literally give away money. And if you are someone that's already subscribed with notifications on, then thank you for being just an absolute incredible person. Some of the smartest, sophisticated people on the planet are subscribed to this channel, actually. So the next story I've got for you guys is hilarious. So this person works at a game store, probably the game store you guys are thinking of that buys used games. There's really only one, and they really love red lights because they love stopping. Either way, there were certain consoles at this store that just were hard to keep in stock. Even years after all this crap, it's still not uncommon for them to sell out of the next-gen consoles. It's not like the workers love having to tell people, no, we don't have any. Like, they don't take any joy in that. It's just the reality of the thing's super in demand, so they don't have a ton. But one guy comes in and just off rip, you can tell that he's got the whole, like, I'm better than you attitude. Oh, I've got so much money, I don't need to be in the store. And he starts demanding a PS5. Like, you guys need to get me a PS5 now. That's the only reason I'm here. The only way I'm gonna have a good customer experience is if you get me a PS5. And they're listening to this intense speech about how they need to make sure that he has the best customer experience and whatnot. And what's unfortunate is they were out of PS5s. The day before, they had had a few, but people had come in and bought them, so it's not like there's any way for him to just make one magically appear. So he tells the guy before he can continue his rant that, like, they don't have any. And as someone who's shopped at a store before, I feel like we all have, if a worker comes to you and goes, oh, we don't have any of this, yes, there might be a 2% chance they're lying, but at the same time, like, are you gonna sit there and argue with the guy about what does and doesn't exist in the store you don't work out? Well, apparently this guy decided that that was just the most logical approach, because he looks at him and says, I know you have one. And the worker's really confused because it's like, yeah, but if I had one, I would sell it to you because it's my job to sell consoles. Like, clearly I don't have one because we would want to sell it to you. And so he tells him, no, sir, I'm sorry, but we really don't have another PS5. Like, there's no way for me to make one appear. And this old man starts getting angry with him and is like, cut the crap, I know you have some back there, I know it's store policy to keep a few extras in the back. Just go back and get one of the secret consoles. And once again, the worker's like, secret consoles, dude, what are you talking about? You're coming in trying to buy something that's been sold out for years now. It's a lot easier to find them in stock, but it's not easy, and you think that we just have this secret room full of all these consoles that have been highly in demand. We could have sold them for a huge profit, but we've just been hanging on to them secretly. I don't think any game store would do that. I don't think any business in general would do that. If someone told me their business plan was to hide half of their stock in the back and make people think it was out of stock and then sell it all from the back, I'd be like, that's a dumb idea. Why don't you just put it out and sell it normally? I don't know why this company would just decide randomly to hide their most expensive items and only the super secret people that are smart enough to ask get it. Like, I don't think that's how business works. Either way, when he tells the guy, like, yeah, still don't have a PS5, doesn't matter if you think there's a secret room in the back, we don't have one, not much I can do. He starts getting really angry, like face turning red, a little bit of spit coming out when he's talking. I know you have some extra. And it's a pretty dead day. It's not like there's a ton of people in the store. So his manager looks over and sees this guy like starting to have the beginning stages of a stroke or something because he's getting so mad at the fact that they don't have this console. So his manager comes over to just see what's going on, make sure this like situation doesn't escalate as managers do. And he comes over and is like, hey, what's the problem? Your worker refuses to sell me a new console. It's like he wants your business to lose money. I don't know how you function with employees like this. Okay, so now you're just gonna try to get the guy fired too, because he can't give you something that they don't have. Like, what? And his manager is confused too, because it's not like this worker is having a bunch of problems not selling people things. So he asks the guy, like, well, what console? He replies PS5. Even the manager is now aware of the situation. So he tries to politely explain to this guy that those are super in demand. We don't have any. I'm so sorry. And his response to the manager saying, we also don't have a PS5, is to be like, you're in on this too. I knew there was a conspiracy for you guys to keep these consoles, but I didn't realize how up the flagpole it went. How up the flagpole it went. If the worker is hiding consoles, wouldn't it make sense the manager is too? And I know they're not hiding consoles, but I love that in his mind, like the manager of the store is as up the flagpole as it gets. Might as well have just discovered like an Illuminati level conspiracy. That's how he was acting. I cracked the code. Everyone's in on this together. Yeah, all the workers got together this morning and they said there's one guy in particular who we all hate that we're just not going to give a console. Just that guy. Everyone else, we have tons of PS5s. Let's just keep them in the back like a secret and only say no to this guy. So no one really understands what he's trying to imply by saying that there's some conspiracy to not give him the consoles. So he starts trying to nicely explain, the manager, no one's conspiring against you. There is no secret plan for us to keep all the consoles from you. That's not what's going on. He's not having any of it though. He's like, I know how this works. You guys are gonna go above and beyond to convince me there's none here as a sales tactic. And now the worker talks up again and he's like, what sales tactic? It's not like we really need to do a whole lot of sales pitches to get people to buy stuff when they're in the store looking for a console. And he starts going off about how they're going to pretend that they don't have one once again and then fake find one right before he leaves so that way he's desperate to buy it. I don't think that the store has to do stuff like that, and even if they did, wouldn't that be a dumb idea? Because now you're just pissed off and angry. In what business class do they teach you the best way to make a sale is to piss off the customer as much as possible? And so they kind of once again, for the 8th time now, tell them, we just don't have any consoles. And now they're stopping being nice. The customer service voice is dropping. They're just being like, we don't have any consoles. You gotta go. And he starts trying to guilt trip them, saying that he's gonna leave the store and they're gonna miss out on their commission that they could have made by selling him a console. And that's even funnier to them because now they realize he really just has no clue how this works because they don't make commission at all. I almost said permission. They don't make commission. It's not like their store is out here giving them $50 for each next-gen console they sell. Trust me, I feel like if that was the case, they'd be grinding trying to sell them to you. If they were making commission on the consoles, why would they not let you buy one? If anything, they would be trying to push people to buy consoles they don't even need because of the commission. If they got paid per console, they'd be out there grinding, dude. You'd see them on TikTok, buy a console now. They'd be doing dance videos trying to go viral, like those corporations that are trying to go viral on TikTok, and it's mad cringe. Anyways, he's getting increasingly angry and he's like, I'm going to give you guys to the count of 3 to find a next-gen console and bring it out here or we're going to have bigger issues. And he starts counting down. And I've never understood why a grown-up would do that to another grown-up because I'm going to keep it a buck. When people snap their fingers at me or start counting, it triggers something in my brain that turns me back into caveman mode where I'm just like, oh, we're fighting now. Not literally. If you snap your fingers at me, I'm not going to fight you. If you count at me, I'm not going to literally fight you. But that's a pretty disrespectful thing in my opinion. If you're going to start counting down at another adult, demanding they do something before you get to 1, that's just rude. You do that to little kids when they're freaking out. You don't do that to a worker you know nothing about. And obviously, none of these grown men are going to start running all over the place trying to find a console that doesn't exist when he's counting down. And so he gets to the end of the countdown and they're still standing there. And he looks at them and goes, where is it? Well, they didn't move the entire time you were counting down. So I'm going to guess not in their hands. They didn't move. Did you think they did the SpongeBob thing where they were like, want to see me run and grab the console? Want to see me do it again? Clearly, they were not in a rush to go get a console during this countdown and they didn't do it. And they'd retell him, we don't have any. We told you. And he starts screaming. He was already mad before, but now he's just straight up raging. This is ridiculous. I can't believe that you guys are refusing to sell me one of these. They're not refusing to sell you anything. They just don't have them. You guys are losing my business. I can't believe that you're going to let a paying customer walk out the door. And the manager is like, sir, we have customers here all the time. I'm not going to be spoken to this way. You can leave. Now we're not going to sell you one even if we do have one. And when he hears that, he turns around and they happen to have like this little display set up with all these plush figures, like all the plushies. And he smacks it. So all the plushies go flying everywhere. The like display rack falls to the ground. And he turns back and looks at them angry and is like, that's what you get for not selling me a console. Oh, wow, man, I'm shaking in my boots. You took your anger out on a plushie display. Oh no, I am quivering. Like, dude, you picked the least intimidating thing to take your anger out on, even in general. Like, if you start punching stuff in a store to try to intimidate the workers, you're 100% in the wrong. But imagine trying to intimidate somebody by, like, beating up a plushie. So whatever, he leaves and they clean it up, and they were just talking about how insane it was. And what was funny is, like, 99.9% of the time, working with customers at this guy's job is his favorite part. Because usually it's just people that like video games, and he likes video games, and they talk about video games. But every now and then, the Karens just decide to pop up, or in this case, a Darren. I would love to know if there's any couples out there that got the Darren Karen name combo, because you know they're unbeatable when it comes to yelling at managers. All right, and the last story I have for y'all today is just insanely funny, but not long. So the person who sent this in to me was going on a run on Saturday, and he usually just runs in his neighborhood and has absolutely no issues. But he turns the corner, and he sees like 4 grown men in just tank tops standing out in the road. Almost looks like the beginning of King of the Hill, you know, when all the dads are just kind of standing there drinking beer, like very much a similar vibe. And he sees them looking like they're talking to him, but he has headphones in, so he takes off his headphone and is like, huh, what? And one of them goes, is that your drone? And he looks up and he sees a drone, probably a good 150 feet up above him. And he's like, no, I'm running. How would he be flying the drone if he has nothing in his hands and is like running down the street? Do you think he's controlling it with his mind, you know, Elon Musk Neuralink style? And they start explaining to him that like they don't want the drone there and why they don't want the drone there because they feel like it's spying on him. And he's just standing there listening to them like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I get why you don't want a drone flying above your house for an extended period of time, but it's not my drone. So I'm really not sure what you would like me to do about it. It was almost like these 4 had been standing there complaining about it for a while. And so like the first person that walked up that wasn't in their group, they just decided to let them know every concern that they had about this drone. And I get it. It is weird if there's just a drone hovering above your house for an extended period of time. But it's not every stranger that walks by's drone, you know? Like, oh, you without the controller. Is this your drone? And so when he says, yeah, there's certainly a drone there, I don't know what to do about it, they're like, well, what should we do? He's not a drone whisperer. He's not an expert. And he says, I'm not sure. Maybe just like get it out of the sky. And he goes to keep running, but he's confused because a 5th guy magically appears from one of the garages and starts walking over with a bow and arrow. And so he doesn't run away just yet because obviously he's very curious to see what this guy's about to do with the bow and arrow and to see if he's about to go all like Robin Hood on the drone, you know, Legolas, just drone down. And so he walks underneath the drone, pulls out a lighter, and lights the arrow on fire, which, I mean, +5 cool points, but I'm not really sure if that's the best way to take out a drone. Think about it. I don't think it being on fire, if it hits the drone, does anything bonus, and you're shooting it up into a neighborhood. So if you miss and the flaming arrow comes down on top of somebody's roof and you can't get to it, are you going to go to jail for arson? I just feel like the flaming arrow might not be worth it, but whatever, he does it. And he pulls it back, fires the arrow. And you would think that there's no way this guy's got the accuracy to hit the drone. But somehow, instead of using his luck to win the lottery, he used it all on this moment. Because the flaming arrow smacks into the drone. The drone starts spiraling down with the flames coming off of it. And everyone is like, yeah, they start cheering. The runner's just kind of standing there. Could you imagine the guy who was flying the drone? He's just like, oh, I'm trying to get some B-roll shots of this neighborhood I'm making a documentary on. Next thing you see is just like a flaming ball coming towards you and then your drone turns off. Did I just get shot with a fire arrow? Like that's what he's thinking. Either way, the drone hits the ground and he's looking at it and it's on fire and he looks back up and all 5 of the guys had vanished. It was like they wanted nothing to do with this. They just all went inside like, okay, when the guy comes to find his drone, the guy with the flaming arrow can't be here. And once he realized that all the men had disappeared, he's like, well, if the drone guy shows up, I'm the only one here, so I'm going to get the blame. So he ran over to the drone and like stomped out the fire, which probably was not better for the drone, but it had already been impaled with a fire arrow, so it's not like stomping on it was going to make it any worse. And he ran away too, because he's like, I'm not getting blamed for this. I had nothing to do with it. Either way, a little bit of a, I don't know, like a little bit of a Karen move, but at the same time, don't hover drones above people's houses. That's weird. I'm not saying you deserve to have it shot with a fire arrow, but weird to spy on people. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought. Seriously, if we could get this video to like 5,000 likes, I'd appreciate it. It was longer, and it's been a while since we got that high. And if you want to help me out too, be sure to comment, subscribe, all that stuff. If you like listening to the story times, but you'd rather do it in audio format, I do post the audio version on Spotify. Feel free to check it out, link down below. And I made a playlist with some of my favorite videos of the year, so check that out too. Link will be in the pinned comment. But yeah, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.